Yo, what's up? It's your boy E. So today we'll be talking about Touch Portal for beginners, creating your own button. Let's get it. Boom! Welcome back to the channel, guys. If you are new here, I'm E and I create MTG content and budget streaming content. So today we'll be talking about, or I'm touring you on how to create your own button within Touch Portal, a free sort of mobile app. But before that, there are 3 caveats that I would like to say right now. Boom. Number 1, this tutorial is created for beginners. So therefore, if you are an intermediate or an expert level of Touch Portal user, you may want to skip this tutorial or skip ahead to the last part. Number 2, again, this tutorial assumes that you already have watched part 1 of Touch Portal. I will not be covering how to install or touring you on the page setup. We will be concentrating on creating a button right now. And then number 3, I will be giving away a free pre-made page and buttons for you to use to tour on OBS. Now that's done, I will switch back to our main program. Boom. Okay, so again, guys, this is a beginner guide. I won't be covering any values, flows, and scripts. We will be trying to simplify the process as much as possible. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to my desktop. As you can see, this is the Touch Portal interface and page setting. A couple of notes from my part 1. Notice that there are changes on the left-hand side. That's because after my tutorial had released, Touch Portal upgraded their application to version 2.3.006. Now, as we know, a hallmark of a good program is continuous improvement. Touch Portal and their team is continuously improving the application, so that's good news for us. Now, the major upgrades that they put in are putting in the values, events, and flows. However, to me, this seems to be a bit more on the advanced side, so we won't be covering this in this tutorial. So anything to do with values, events, and flows for the buttons, we're going to skip. And they included assets and guides. Now remember, on my initial portion, and I will be talking about this later, we have the pages and icon pack that you can actually download directly on the page or Touch Portal itself. Then you got your guides and helps. Logs would be anything to do with the Touch Portal log. Okay, going back to the page, the other thing that they made a change on, just a quick disclaimer, is the page graphic upgrades right here. These are upgrades that can be purchased for $1. So what they did was they included the functionality to make your buttons prettier by adding flashing colors like gradient colors, RGB colors to be incorporated on your Touch Portal to simulate a RGB feel that most gamers would like to have. Let's go to the button. Clicking on the button, it will take you to Edit Touch Button interface. From left to right, you have your add actions on the left-hand side. I'll take a pin on that one because that is something that I will be covering in depth a few moments later. The middle part is your heart and soul of the button. So it is separated by 3 major tabs. First one is unpressed. Unpressed meaning that the button will execute an action when you press this button. On event means that when an event occurs, your button will execute an action. Events may be when a scene in OBS has transitioned, or a time has occurred, or a weather has occurred, so on and so forth. On hold is self-explanatory, meaning that if you press and hold that button, it will do this specific action. Let's go to the top. This will show the photo of what the button would look like, and you have your copy and paste button action. The right-hand side, you have your button settings. You have your button size right here. This will be the width and the length of the button. Now, going back to the page setup, notice that we only have 8 buttons here. I'm trying to simulate a free Touch Portal pack. You will only get 8 buttons per page. So if you increase the width to 2, it will take 2 spaces, or the length to 2, or the height rather, it will increase the button. So because we are limited with real estate here, let's use 1. On the bottom part, it says button text. you can actually change the text that is visible on the bottom. Say, for example, test 1. Click save. Will show test 1, or will show test 1 right here. Next, this one is the font of the button text. As of right now, we are limited to the actual settings. Here in the button settings, we can add, as per my knowledge, we can add, but that's fine. We won't be using text most of the time anyway. We'll be using our own photo JPEG of the button. Below that is the color of your text. So you can choose any of these colors, plus you can customize color by either hue, saturation, brightness, HSB, RGB, red, green, blue, or web, either or. You can also change the opacity of your button, or text button rather. Save, and then you can use that one. But for now, I want to use white. This one is reminiscent on what is available in your Microsoft Windows, PowerPoint, and Excel. This is to do with where your text would be located: top, middle, bottom, left, center, and right. For now, let's put it on dead center. Okay, can also use text as shadows. The bottom part, after your button text options, we have our background color. Now let's untick the transparent button, transparent background and rounded color options for now. So Touch Portal assumes that there will be a two-tone color grade for the button. The first one would be on top, second one would be on bottom. That's it. For the first one, say for example, we want to have a shade of green, and on the bottom one, a lighter shade of green. As you can see, it applies that specific dynamic from top to bottom. On this side, it actually makes mention how it applies that gradient color. So say this one states it's top to bottom. The lighter shade indicates the top portion. Okay, don't be confused. And the darker shade indicates the bottom color portion. So can I either go top to bottom, left to right, or diagonal. These buttons here would just change the color integration on the top tab and the bottom tab. You can swap the color or sync it, meaning same color. You can also click transparent background, meaning that you don't want to use any of the background color. Set to transparent. And rounded color. Rounded color basically wants to round it up the edges of your real estate or the button real estate, because usually it's just square. As you can see here, rounded gives it a more refined shape. Now that's done, I want to set it to transparent for now and set the button to text or test. On the bottom part, you have your change button image. Change button image, this is where you're able to upload your own photo. So say for example, change icon, click that. You have options to either go change from a file. That means you already have, say, a PNG file, a photo file, or a JPEG file. You want to use that, it's cool. Touch Portal can use that one. Or you can also upload from icon pack. First, I want to do the from file. Because I already pre-made some of my buttons, say for example, let's do this scene. The button becomes that scene. Or say for example, let's use instead source on. This is better. It incorporates that specific button inside. Now, I want to put a thought here how Touch Portal layers the button. If we remove the transparent background, so how it applies the color grade or the color setting would be the background of the button would be behind the photo would be in the middle, and the text would be above. The text would always supersede everything else. Okay, keep that in mind. For now, let's do that. The other option that you can take is icon full button action. So you can click this tab to maximize the button size. So how does this look without clicking the button size? Is it looks like this. However, if you click the full button size, sorry about that, full button size, save, boom. It actually tries to fill up the entire space of the button. Think of it as stretching a background to fit the space. All right, now that's done. You can click remove icon to remove the icon, obviously. And I can go now to from icon packs. Now, Touch Portal has a functionality wherein it can incorporate icon packs that are native to Touch Portal. These icon packs are pre-made buttons that you can access within Touch Portal. You don't need to access any file outside of Touch Portal. So for me, I already have icon packs downloaded. All I need to do is switch over these icon packs, and these are all made available to me. Say for example, let's go with folders. I have a folder blue that will be used. Okay, you can ask me, oh E, how can I get this icon packs? Well, there is an add icon pack right here. You can click that and it will take you to your downloads folder. Right now, where do you download this pack? You can either go to the assets portion, click that one, click icon packs, and install these icon packs right here. Or you can visit their website, Touch Portal. Don't worry, these links will be in the description down below. You can actually select which Touch Portal icon you would like. All of these, if not most of these, are actually for free. Thank you, Touch Portal. So feel free to choose, or you can install right here. Say for example, if you want, you can install cam positions, install, download and install this asset. Yes, it's downloading in itself and installing it all together. If you want to do the manual way, you can actually click any of these. Say for example, downloading this portion, download that. Once that's done, you can unpack, or because this will be downloaded as a zip folder, you can unpack that one in your downloads folder. Boom. Or if not, if it already exists as a TPI file, you can go to your buttons and add a pack on the downloads folder, TPI file, Touch Portal. Then you can add them all. Boom. All right. Easy peasy. And last but not least, on the button settings, we have the button logic setup. Now, this is a bit tricky, but I think this would still be covered on the basics portion, because the button logic only states that each button has a unique ID right here. And in the future, you may want to integrate, or like whenever you press a button, another button, you want another action that is already inside the button to happen. You can copy the ID of this button to say to Touch Portal, hey, can you click this for me as well? You can do that. The last but not least is initial value, which is off. Now, this portion is simply stating that the initial value of your button is off. Think of it as a switch. So its initial setting is off. You can direct Touch Portal to say whenever you click that button, you can switch it to on, the status to on. Now, depending on switching it off and on, it will trigger an event, and whatever you like to happen on events can be triggered by Touch Portal. It's a bit tricky right now, but bear this in mind when I'm doing the action walkthrough. All right, as you can see here, Touch Portal has actually clumped or bundled each action into specific categories. I won't be covering all of these categories, primarily because the bottom part here are all TP plugin related, which I will be covering on my third part for a beginner tutorial. So for now, we'll be skipping that over. Also, I will be skipping parts which are HTTP or script writing, because again, we want this to be beginner friendly. Right, let's start. From top to bottom, let's look at run and open. As it states, the category focuses on actions that will run or open specific programs or files. Start with number one, start application. Start application, this would tell the button to, hey, when I press you, please open a specific application. Application will be file types that are application. Usually, it is found in your program file. Now, I click the triple button here to navigate which ones we would want. Usually, I go to program files, and for this example, let's go with LG Hub, which is my Logitech Hub. Click that one, click open. Now, if we transition our view to my Touch Portal on my mobile, click save and click test. That should pull up our Logitech app. Now, if I go back to my main, so you can see most of these items here are actually app linked. So if I click, say, Instagram, it will pull up my Instagram link. If you want, follow your boy, TDRXN Games. Going back to the view, run batch files. Now this is script related, so I'll be skipping it. Highlights of it is that it can run a script. It can run a script and then wait for it to finish, or it can run a script and keep it open. Okay. The other part is shortcut. Now this specific action focuses on opening shortcut files or links. So remember, usually when we download a specific program through Windows, it creates a shortcut link in our desktop. That's what it's used for actually. So click the link, triple dot right here. I usually save mine on my desktop, then shortcuts. Let's say deck builder with a file type shortcut, click open and then save. Before I skip over, there is something here called with arguments. Now, if you're not familiar with arguments, you can skip this as blank. But if you want, say for example, to open this program minimize, you can put in -m, so on and so forth. If you're not familiar, skip over. It's fine. You can leave it blank. Click save. Once it's done, we click test again in our touch portal, and it will open up that specific file or program. Easy peasy. Now, if I go to my main page, some of these are actually shortcut driven. So say for example, if you see here, it's actually an open link and it's a shortcut link. Let's go back to the sample file. We're done with run a shortcut. This one, we have open a file. Open a file can open, say for example, Microsoft files like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, so on and so forth, or notes. Example on my end, let's go to documents and notes on my time spiral, click open, click save. Once that's done, just click the test here and it will open up my notes on touch portal on screen. If you haven't yet and you're an MTG player, I opened up a case for time spiral, click on that bad boy. That said, we can skip over. Open a folder is very self-explanatory. It's going to open a folder within your Windows. Say for example, we wanna open the shortcut folder that I had a while ago. Click that one, click add and then save. Then we can click test and that will open the folder right there. Nice, right? Also, in my main portion, I have this button, which is my TDE logo. It automatically goes to my folder where I keep all my stream items. So click on that one. There you go. Easy. This works best if you want to simplify your workflow when you're doing your stream or when you're doing productivity. Last but not least is run PowerShell script. Now, this is akin to script writing in Windows. There's something called PowerShell. It looks like this. So we'll just skip over that part. Now we're done with run and open. We can now proceed to navigation. Navigation is only subdivided into two major parts. Either go to the page or open a URL. Now, go to the page is not any other page outside of Touch Portal. This only focuses on opening a page within Touch Portal. Say, for example, I have many pages inside my Touch Portal that I already created. If I click main here, and I click save, that means that if I go to test, this will take me to my main page, right? In the same thought, in my main page, I have this icon here, which I distinctly told the button to go to the sample page. So if I click that, it brings me back to the sample page. There you go. Easy. Now that's done, let's go to the open URL. Open URL is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to take you to a specific web page. Say, for example, let's go to touchportal-portal.com, click save. If we test this, will take us to that specific web page. Easy. Touch Portal. Now in my web page, or like my home, my main buttons right here, actually link my my buttons YouTube and Facebook here to a web page. So if I click that one, it will take me to a YouTube page. Now that's done. 2 down, couple more to go. Let's go to input. Now the input portion is very straightforward. It just tries to mimic the inputs of your peripherals, namely your keyboard or your mouse. That's all it does. Say, for example, the first one is write a text. this addition button here links to specific items. Say for example, in OBS, it will tell you what the CPU usage is, and so on and so forth. Twitch, which ones was your latest follower, Bitcoin giver, etc., etc. Other items here are plugin related, so I'm going to skip that portion. Can also tell you the date and time. However, to keep it simple, let's say ABCD, click save. I have a test button here. Let's go to note. If there's a notepad and I click the button of test, we'll click ABCD. In the same manner, if I remove that portion and let's go to the date and time format, it will tell you what date or time I'm recording this video. Boom. There you go. That's only the time. That being said, let's skip forward. You have your virtual key press. Now, what's the difference with everything else? So the virtual key press basically is going to press a specific button simultaneously for you. Now, this is to do with, say, for example, you want to do a Control plus O, simultaneously press, can also indicate the duration of the button of the press in milliseconds. Milliseconds is 1,000 of a second, okay? So, if we add that one, Control O, click Save, we have a test button ready. We go back to our notepad. If I click the test now, it will open up. It recognizes that I pressed Control O. Boom. All right, now we can go to low-level key press. To me, they function similarly with the virtual key press. You can also put in a duration counter right here. Functionally the same in my end, so I'm going to skip this portion. Next, you have your press and hold key. So for this manner, say for example, we want to press Alt, Add. You can see that they actually have a button pressed right here. So what it does is that it will press Alt until this portion is satisfied. So you can combine this with other actions so that you can actually say, go to low press key and say F. There you go. F and slide it over to the top. Boom, like that. So that means that the button will hold Alt and then press F at the same time. So if you are an Excel intermediate user to above, Alt Fs will unfilter items, so you can actually use the low press key again to press S like that, and it will sequence it in that manner. We click OK here, the keyboard or the button will continue to press Alt, then click F, then click S, and then release the Alt. That would happen. Or this also works with other functions. If I recall correctly, Alt 0153 would create the trademark sign, so on and so forth. And last but not least, we can do mouse click. Mouse click, as the word says, tries to emulate the mouse click. Now for this method, let's try with default or low level key advanced. Let's go for default. We're not advanced users for now. Type of key, let's say right click, right? And you have your duration of the click. You can hold it for how many durations you like, maybe 1 minute. That's too long. Fraction of a minute would be fine. If you want your mouse to hover over here and right click here, you can press M. There you go. If you tick this button, it will say use the mouse position. So that means that wherever your mouse located is, that's where it's going to click. Not sure why you want to do that, but okay. For now, let's do that. Let's add that and save. We click test. Your mouse button will automatically right click here. Neat. Right. I have covered the input. We can now proceed to utility. Under utility, very self-explanatory. You have your lock computer here. For obvious reasons, I'm not going to demonstrate whether it works. It works. If I go to my mobile app and I go to main, you would see that I have my lock, restart, and shut down here. This is how I actually link up these buttons. Shutdown computer, as made mention, self-explanatory. Next is image to clipboard. So this one basically is going to look up a specific image that you already have. So say, for example, I want to go on my stream. I want to look up my banner, and I would save that. Now, if I click on, say, for example, let's go with paint. then I apply the test and click V, Control V. It will paste my photo. Its function is to look up a specific file as PNG or photo and then paste it anywhere you want. You can combine this with our input portion a while ago, virtual key press Control plus V, CTRL plus V. And if you save that part, you go to Paint and then you click Test. Basically, what it did was the button says, oh, okay, I will copy this image to clipboard and I will paste it anywhere. That's what it does. In the same manner, you have your file to clipboard. This time, it will copy the entire file and put it on to the clipboard. For this instance, say for example, we want to go notes on time spiral again. Copy that, save it, and let's pair it up with the input value for virtual key. Let's say Control V. I want to copy and paste it. Where it is V? There you go. Save. Save. And from there, on desktop, I can click the test button and it will copy and paste the file into my desktop. We can proceed to switch an event off and on. So for specific events, guys, as I made mention ago, there is an event here. You can add an event and event ID. However, for now, I'm going to skip it because it seems to be not beginner friendly for now. So I'm going to skip that over. Now that utility is done, we can now proceed to the more fun part of Touch Portal, where we can play with the buttons and tell it to do amazing things. Right, let's go to logic. So for logic, it's basically a set of logic that the button can perform. So say for example, number one, it can wait for a timer. So it can basically put a delay in between. So you can wait for one second, 1 millisecond, or it can also go 1 second like that, or 1 minute. You can do this in combo. So say for example, let's go 1 second. Let's do a combo with write a text, write A, write a text, write B, save it down. And let's go to notes, notepad. Okay, click test, A, B. There you go. There's a delay. Now, this is very important. Keep this in mind, guys, because most of the time, like during my outro, as I shown you on part 1, those are actually done because of this functionality wherein I tell Touch Portal to wait a couple minutes or a couple seconds before closing down a source and opening up another source. Next is the if statement. The if statement is basically telling the button, if this happens, then do that. Okay? So, say for example, if in OBS, the record state is starting, then we can say write the text to say A, B, C, D, like that. Okay, let's put a pin on that one for now because I'm going to demo this later on. Next, you have the if file. This is basically the same thing with if statement, only that it relates to file. So say for example, if the file here contains 1 in between, then do this. If not, then do something else. Else. All right, how does the else work? I made mention a while ago, there is an else. So say for example, on an if statement, I would say if OBS has changes scene to say box break, then write A, then else. This is where your else comes into play. Else, otherwise, write B. See what I mean? So you created a statement or an if function. This is what we call an if function. If the initial portion has been satisfied, do this. Otherwise, do another thing. Okay? This will come in handy when we're doing our buttons in a few. Now that's done, we have your stop executing actions. So in a button, you can actually put a lot of actions, putting in a timer, putting in a delay on each of those actions being done. You can put a button to stop all actions in Touch Portal, meaning that it supersedes everything else and say, hey, stop. Let's not do that. Execute flow. Now, this flow is to do with what was initially launched or like newly launched here. There are flows right here that you can add actions to on a specific flow. But because it's a flow, I will not be covering that one on this tutorial, okay? And the other one is you have your repeat X times. Now, repeat X times means that it will repeat a specific action. Now, to demonstrate, I can click repeat X times here, and you can sandwich an action in between. Let's delete here. Delete here. Say, for example, I want to do this 10 times. Write text A, save it down. Then on a notepad, let's click test. It will write 10 times. Easy. Now, repeating can be done through, like, if you want to do some switches on scene, you want to repeat it in a sense that you want to switch a little bit, like in a half a second or a second and come back. That's how I do it. Last but not least, you have your dynamic text updater. So this applies on event. You see this? This is the only time you've seen this color as of right now, and it only says event. That means that you can't put it on pressed. It will only affect on event. So dynamic text updater says that the button updates the name every 500 milliseconds. So say, for example, we would say CPU percentage. Okay. If I save it down and I refresh the button, you won't see it on the page, but rather you will see it in your mobile. You won't see it on your computer app. You will see it in your mobile app. So you can see it's changing every half a second. Now we're done with logic. We can now proceed to X values. X values would remind you of algebra, but this is to change specific values on Touch Portal. Now, one thing I want to show you is change button state. Remember a while ago, I made mention that there is an initial value or button state, the state of your button, which is off. You can change the button state here to on, say for example, or off when you click the button. This will work in handy in a few. I'll show you why. From there, you can also toggle button state, meaning that the button checks for the value of your button. Say for example, if it sees it's off, if you click it, it becomes on. If you click it again, it becomes off. You toggle it back and forth. Change button state by ID. So remember a while ago, stating that, oh, you can change it by or change it with another button. That is where the button ID comes into play. Say, for example, you can copy a different button ID. Copy. Come here. Put in a change button ID state off. This is the for button ID with. We change it to on. Save it down. Click test. Boom. And then from there, it would change the button state to on. That said, we can proceed. Set a value. Set a value ID here. Again, this is to do with specific values, which I won't be covering. So we will be skipping. Increment value. Everything that we will value here. It's a bit on, again, the higher level a little bit. So we're going to skip those. And let's switch to events. This is where the fun part begins. So remember a while ago when I said change the state, button state, we can change that button state to on. And on event, you can say that when a button state changes. So when this button changes, becomes on, then you can say, then write a text or write the text A, something along that lines, right? I'll show you a different combination later when we go to visuals, but keep this in mind. Next, we have when value changes. Again, it's a value related item, so I'm going to skip that over. When plugin state changes, it's a plugin state. We'll skip it over. Don't worry, we will still make an awesome button without using those items. Now that's done, we can go to File IO. This is just to write to a file, append to a file, delete a file. So this means that without opening the file, you can actually write, append, or delete a file. Say for example, I already pre-created a file. It's a blank file, and we can write say for example, the CPU percentage again. Click save. If I open the file to show you, it's empty, or there's ABCD. If we click the write a file, click test, go back to it, it will now reflect the percentile or the CPU percentile usage. Boom, easy. Append to a file, meaning that it's going to add to a file. So if I click append to a file, same thing, let's append the frames per second. Click test again. If we open up the file, it will say it will append 30 frames per second, 30 FPS. Next, can delete a file. Now, deleting a file, pretty self-explanatory is to delete the file. So let's not do that. We have file content to value. Again, there is an ID value, so I'm going to skip it over. URL content to value, value again. And now we have when file changes. So whenever this file changes or changes were made to the file, then you can put in any logic that you want. You can actually link this to your light or light. Whenever a file changes occurs, turn on the light, turn off the light, so on and so forth. But for the purpose of this, you can actually put in the input portion, write a text, same thing, but not really. We are done with the file IO. I'm skipping over HTTP. Let's now go to visuals. One of the things that I like about Touch Portal, go to your tests, open it up. So for visuals, these are options to do with changing the visual look of your button. That's all it does. So first option is change button visuals. If you click that one in, it will prop up this option. If you notice, all of these are akin to what we have with the button settings on your right-hand side. That's because this action wants to change your initial preset of the button. So say for example, I want to change my title to live when I press this button. I'll change the color to green. I'm going to change the text alignment to go up instead of the middle. And then from there, I want to change the background color to light green and another green right here. You can also change the direction, top to bottom. Right, now that's done, I can add it up and save. One thing to note is that when you click that button, it will not change the visual look in the PC. However, it will change the visual look in your mobile device instead. So if you click the one in your mobile device, boom, it will change the look. All right. So when we refresh, it comes back to its original state, which is test. Meaning when you press this button here on top, the refresh one, it will refresh all the buttons to a state where it originally was. What makes this fun is you can combine this with what we have learned with our previous logic preset. Remember the X values that we had a while ago? We can use this to trigger on event. Let me show you how we do it. So on events, we can click when button state changes. All right. So we can copy this portion, copy that one and paste it here. Then we can change the button state changes to on. So that means that when the state of the button is changed to on, change my visual outlook of the button. And then we can also add another when button state trigger occurs to off. And we can add that visual to say, I want to change it back. So I'm going to say tests, change the color, change the alignment, and I want it to be transparent background and rounded corner, add it down. Now let's go back to unpressed. Let's delete this action. Remember the toggle button state? Click that one. So what does this do? It does this specific series of actions. Remember that we set all our button state to off. So when you click this button, it will toggle it to on. When it's toggled to on, it will trigger an event to say, oh, I see that it was switched to on, then I will change the button dynamics to reflect as green. And then if you click it again, it will switch the button to off, and it will see that when it was changed to off, it will change it back to its original state. Now time to test it. Save, click it, boom, it's changed to live, right? Now we click it again, boom, change to test. All right, actually, forgot to click one thing on the bottom part, and that's to change the vertical alignment. We did not highlight that one. Let's do it again. Test, test. Easy. This method can be combined to any aspect in OBS as well. Remember when we were switching on different scenes, it can actually detect when a scene has been swapped or has been triggered, we can trigger the button to change color or change icon in any way, shape, or form we want. In that way, we don't have to look at OBS to see that the scenes have changed. We can just look at our touch portal. Neat. Now that's done, let me delete this button and use another one. Let's put in tests. The other thing that we can talk about this visuals is the comment. The reason why is that the next 3 options are to do with the paid upgrade version, and this is to do with changing the graphics whenever you press the button to reflect an RGB pattern, a gradient pattern, or a page different color of RGB as well. Something fancy, but the concept remains the same. It's just to change the specific visual aspect of the button and touch portal itself. Last but not least is a comment. This is not an action actually. It is just a bookmark inside your button. If you have many macros inside your button or many actions, it might be daunting for you to remember what those actions or series of events that you did before. You can just put a note inside for you. That's it. Example, this is to change color. That's it. Click save. If you click that button, nothing happens. Nothing at all. Now that's done, let's proceed to my second to the last category of tutorial, which is media. Let's go to media functions. Media functions usually pertains to audio media. So if we click play audio, it will only play MP3s, MPEG-4, WAV file, AIFF, but it assumes that there's no errors in between, the Java playback works, so on and so forth. How it works is you can choose an actual audio file, say audio ape here on my end, click open, and you can set a volume level when it opens up. So you can say, oh, I want this to be done on 50%, add it down, save it. Once you click that button, it will play. Easy peasy. That being said, the opposite is true for the next portion, which is to stop audio. Very self-explanatory. If you click that button, the audio will stop. Let's proceed. Now, you have your toggle mute Windows option. Again, this is for Windows. So for this portion, I'm not sure if this works with MacBook. I think that there's a different version for the MacBook portion, but because you're downloading, well, I downloaded Touch Portal version of Windows, this is my option. You can preset to make this button toggle in between mute. So that means that when you're toggling, meaning that if it was initially mute, it will turn on. If it was initially on, it will mute, okay? But you can also set that button to just mute or set that button to unmute, your preference. The Windows aspect is subdivided into 2 options, audio output and audio input. Audio output, meaning sounds that comes out from your PC. Audio input, sounds that you put into your PC. Okay, now let's go to my output options. So if I show you my drop down, I have a lot of output options. That's because I'm using voice meter, banana voice meter, I believe, or potato voice meter. That's why I have a lot of like cable options or VB audio cable here, A, B, C, D, and all of those aspects. I also have a Bluetooth connected to my PC. That's why I have a JBL stereo right here. But for the most part, what you will have for PC users are digital audio, PDIF right here, high definition, and your headphones, high definition audio device right here. These are either the blue-green on the back panel side of your PC, or if you have a front panel, it should be on your front side, wherein there is a headphone icon before the 3.5mm jack. All right, show you how it works. Once you've selected the audio output, you can click save, and once you press that button, you would see that the icon for your headset would change. Oh, I need to play some music first. From there, you can see it changed to off, changed to on. Show you again, off, on, unmute, right? Easy. Going back, I'll be stopping the music right now. I know you won't be hearing the music, but I'm playing Spotify, the back end side of my end. So, same is true for audio input, but this time it pertains to your microphone. I have a lot of microphones attached to my PC as well, so you would see a lot. Plus, the voice meter would also be recognized as an input device, either or. So for your side, you should be able to see a microphone high definition audio device. This is usually the naming convention of your Windows microphone. But for me, I do have, if you have a webcam as well, if you're using Logitech C920 or all other cameras or webcams out there, usually it comes with an audio or a mic inside that one. It will be picked up by this diagram. So you can also toggle it mute or unmute, depending which one you like. This is very useful when you're transmitting via OBS. However, in OBS, there's also a source mute function. I'll show you later, but this one is a bit more of a overall perspective, so that your touch portal is useful even though you're not using OBS. Something to keep in mind. Let's proceed. Next is we have set volume on Windows. As I mentioned or explained a while ago, audio input and output. Select your actual audio output. This time, it will set the volume to. So say, for example, I want it set to 80%. Click Save. Let's play music on the background. Show you, even if I put it on 5, if I click Test, it will change it back to 80. That's how it works. Or if you want to set this device to 30, save it down, show you the volume again, click it again, sends to 30. So it will be exact to that specific number. This is very, very useful when you want to have a preset one-click button to say, all of my audio presets, this is already what I want. I want my mic to be on 80%. I want my background noise or my video game volume to be 50%, my Spotify or my music to be 30%, along that lines. You can already preset that one. So whenever you're ready to play, you're ready to stream, click that one button, all at one go. Keep that in mind. Next is change the volume on Windows. So this may look similar to what we had a while ago, but I'll show you the difference. So you have your set. Your set is to set a volume to. This change volume is to change your volume width. Difference is that the to is to change that to 50% or 30% in that matter. The width is you either add 30 or deduct 30. Let me show you what I mean. Say, for example, in the same example that I gave a while ago, audio output into high definition. From there, I would say add 10 decibels, or like add 10 percentile. If I go to my volume site right here, if I click test, it will add 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. See what I mean? If you go to negative 10, save it down, show you what it does. Minus 10. Easy. So this is also very useful when you want to toggle in between the volume levels, especially if you're doing Discord. You can set your Discord to link into a specific cable output, and then you can toggle that cable output down, lower it down, or make it higher. From there, you have your media toggle play and pause. This is very, very self-explanatory in a sense that if you click this button, it will stop the media from playing. Again, I'm using Spotify, so this should work whichever you have. Like if you have iTunes, I believe it should work. So again, pause, play, pause, play. Same is true for stop media. It will stop from playing. Then you also have next track. So let's see if we do next track. Click it. We'll fast forward. Next track, next track. Same is true for previous. It will work on reverse. Let's go previous track. Delete. Yes. Previous. Easy. On the next two, I'll put in 1 and 2 so that you can see. The next option that we have are volume up, and then we also have volume down. So this is a volume that is applied to the media that you're playing. Say, for example, this time you're using Spotify, so it will turn the volume up or down on that specific application. So again, let's play. All right, the thing is playing now. We can turn up the volume. As you can see, it's in increments of 2. Turn it down, increments of 2. Easy. You can also do that one on hold. So you can on hold on up. You You can also on hold on down. So what's the difference? This one, if you press hold, it will keep coming up. Press down, will keep floating down. Easy. Again, press up, keep going up. Press down, keep going down. Okay, fair enough. And last but not least, you have your media toggle volume mute. So again, it's just the same thing as what we had a while ago for Windows mute for audio, but this time it's going to toggle in between mute and volume for that specific application. Again, if you're using Spotify, it will apply to Spotify. If you're using, I believe, it could work with other media playing applications out there. Haven't tried that as of yet, but I usually just do it with Spotify. Let me know. I think we've covered everything in media functions. Time to proceed to the last and final portion of this segment or the tutorial, which is OBS. This is going to be a bit tricky, so hang on.